Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this quadruple ZZ fold card. Opens and closes like this. Now those of you who have watched my videos before, and especially my paper pumpkin alternative ideas, know that I'm rather fond of a ZZ fold. And if you haven't seen my videos before, I call them that because I live in America, so it's a Z fold. But of course I'm British, so it's a Z fold. So for me, to split the difference, it's a ZZ fold card. And this is quadruple. I had seen Sue Campfield make a version and I thought, oh, I'd like to give that a go. So here is the one that I'm going to make with you today. The only difference is I actually added a little bit of embossing. I felt this was a little bit plain when it was all put together and all said and done. But fundamentally, it is the same card. So without further delay, let me bring in all the ingredients. So it measures 7 1/4 by 5 1/2, and when it's all said and done and folded and ZZ'd, it becomes 4 1/4 and it fits in a regular sized envelope. But then it required 4 1-inch pieces of 7 1/4. So then of course, you know, that would be 4. And I thought, oh, well, if I'm going to score everything, why not just do it? Why not just cut it complete? So here is well, actually the scoring is on, I don't know if you can see it, the scoring is on this side. So rather than cut the 5 1/2 and then all the separate pieces, I cut a piece that was 9 1/2, 5 1/2, 4 inches, 9 1/2, and it scored at 1 1/2 and at 3. So all the score marks got done, and then I cut it into strips. So then I cut the 5 1/2 inch piece off, and what I did was from the first score line, I put it into my embossing folder. This is a really old one, it's perfect polka dots, but I just lined up the edge. Well, I can fold it now, it's actually been done. This is how they will fold, so they look like this. And then I put the edge on the edge of the embossing folder, lined them all up and ran it through. So it just embossed the middle because the two edges are going to go and be underneath the other pieces. There were 2 pieces of the lovely new strawberry slush, and these are 5 1/2 by 1 1/2, so it's the same size, so it fills that whole area. And then getting progressively smaller, it's 5 1/4 by 1 1/4, and then it's 5 by 1 for the designer series paper. And then one of the sheets in the paper is this wonderful array of all these different cocktails. So what I did was I went ahead and I fussy cut out 2 of them, a different to the sample. I just thought I would make it a little bit different. And then using the layering circles, I cut 1 out of strawberry slush and 1 out of basic white. And then what I'm going to do is stamp the hello greeting on the white one. So getting ahead of myself. So you know what though, let's go ahead and do the stamping because this is the only piece that there is. So I'll bring back in the smallest circle, and this hello friend came from the December 2023 paper pumpkin kit. So it's a bit of a tight squeeze, but it fits just nicely. And then it says hello friend, very generic, can go off to anyone for any reason. So that is the stamping taken care of. So let's get on to the building of the card. So we just need to actually fold these the right way, Alyson. I don't want to press too hard because I don't want to press the polka dots out. So we'll just fold them gently on the right hand side. So just fold them back on themselves, and then the scoring is going to be on the left hand side of the main body. So I will score it and fold it with the bone folder, and then I will just push it back on itself. So now it's all ready, so they're across from each other. So that makes sense. You'll see, because of the size of the embossing folder, there's a little bit here, but it's going to be hidden under this piece, so it doesn't look like it's run out. It looks like it ended at the very end of the piece. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and stick this to the left-hand side. So I'm just going to flip it over and put adhesive on some of it, and then I'm just going to line it up in the corner. So line it up with the top and the edge, and then I'm going to do the same with one of the bottom pieces. So again, it's just going to line up with the corner, with the bottom and the edge. And then the other two, I'm just going to eyeball them in actually. So I'll go ahead and put the adhesive on the back. And then I'm just going to lay them on where I think it looks nice. Hopefully my head's not appearing in the shot, because sometimes that's a little bit harder to do, but I'm not going to press them firmly into place quite yet. I just want to make sure I've got sort of like a nice even spread on those. You could measure them if you wanted to, but it's got so much prettiness on the front. I don't think anyone is going to stop and critique if it was sort of a millimeter different. So there we have those pieces on the front, and then what we need to do is we need to attach them on the other side. So I'm just going to flip this over, and then I'm just going to put adhesive on the first section. And again, it's quite easy to do with the top and the bottom. Well, it's quite easy, she said, as she struggles with all the pieces flapping in my face. So we'll just go ahead and put this one level with the edge and the bottom, so you can see it's nice and level and even. And we'll do exactly the same with the one at the top. So as long as it's level with the edge and level with the top, then we are pretty good. And then what we need to do is leave those peeled and tuck those in. So as long as they are level with the edge of the cardstock, that's where it needs to land, and then try and get these straight. Again, level with the edge, and there we have it. And I'm just going to give mine a gentle press, because like I say, it's got the polka dots on and we don't want to ruin the display. This one I can see has gone a little bit further over, but it lies flat. So rather than wrestle it, what I'm going to do is just cut off the hair's breadth that I can see on the other side. And then what we need to do is build the two side panels. So we will put the basic black onto the strawberry slush. Just like that. And then we'll put the two pieces of the celebratory sip designer series paper onto these pieces. And have them all nicely layered into place. And then what we need to do is attach one side to the front, and it's going to fill the whole area. So you need to make sure that you can see where these pieces are. We're just going to line it up with that and the top and the bottom. And because this is mostly flat, I know there's the little edges, we can actually just go ahead and do it with the rolling adhesive. If there was more of the embossing folder pieces, if there was more polka dots, I would suggest to do it with the glue because it's easier to get a true fit if something is got raised pieces on it with the glue, because it can sort of go between the patterns, but there is predominantly a straight edge. Oh, it is stuck to me. So there we have it, that is stuck to the edge of there. And likewise with this one, it is actually all flat. So I'm just going to stick this in. Now the only difference there can be is when you're putting this into where the hinged area is, it's obviously going to the width of the hinge. And I mean, we're talking like a hair's breadth. Sometimes we purposely leave it like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach it level with the top and the bottom, and then make sure that it can still close. And sometimes if there is a little bit over the edge, you can either choose to leave it or just to trim it off. So I think I'm actually going to trim mine off, but you can honestly see how much I'm trimming. It's next to nothing. And I would say cut it down a little bit before you put it on, but other times when I've made this card, they've actually been just the right size. So I would rather have a little overhang and cut it off than do it the other way. So then what we need to do is attach the cocktails. Now these are going to be attached to the surface that has got the raised embossing on it. So what I'm going to do is bring in my Tombow liquid glue, which seems to be a little bit gunky for some reason. Get that little bit of, oh my gosh, get off me. I've got a little bit of boogeriness. And then what I'm going to do is just eyeball where the glue needs to be. So it needs to be on the bottom and towards the top. Of course, you have to remember not to put it everywhere, because you don't want there to be glue here, because when you press it down, it's going to stick your card closed. So, and we can't do the true ZZ fold trick of turning it over because these are on that lovely little jaunty angle, but you get the idea. So we know we can put glue more or less on the middle of here, in the top corner, and part way up this lovely little piece. So we said the top corner, part way up that lovely little add-on, and then we can stick them there and just give them a chance to get adhered. And then what we need to do is bring in the circle. So we've got the strawberry slush circle, and it's going to go a little, well actually this one we could do ZZ fold style. So we could turn it over and we could put just glue where you can see it's not going to matter. So if we need to flip it straight and pop that on, just hold it down just a little bit until it sets. And then what we'll do is bring in some mini dimensionals. 1, 2, 3, pop those off, and then we can stick the greeting on. And there you have it. So you can see down in there that there is no adhesive sticking it where the slats are. And there you have it. The back of this card is actually just basic white. Well, you know, I've just seen I've got a little bit of overhang there. So again, I'll just bring in my scissors and snip that off. But it's basic white on the back, so you can add a greeting. If this was a dark cardstock, I would suggest that you added a little bit of basic white just for signing it. But there are the cards, two the same but a little bit slightly different. This one also has the embossing, whereas this one is plain. And the tip for this is to use the liquid glue to attach it so it sticks easier and more true to the raised surface. So if you like what you've seen, please consider subscribing, ring the bell so you get a notification when I post a video. It's typically a Technique Tuesday, so you know what day the bell's going to ring, but still sometimes I do different ones. And as a demonstrator, I've been able to pre-order out of the upcoming holiday mini catalogue, which starts in September. So I will be having a few of those ideas coming. But like in previous years, I don't want to start doing holiday and Christmassy things when it's still the middle of summer. Last year, I left Technique Tuesdays being sort of general designs, and then I started with a festive Friday series on Fridays. Again, you can ring the bell, but you'll know what day it is. But anyway, just to make that clear, thank you in advance if you think I'm worthy of a thumbs up. Directions and dimensions will be on my blog, and in the meantime, thanks for watching.